Back-to-back storms recently, and now again. But this time, our eyes on Inga. Thanks for staying with us. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren.
And I'm meteorologist Jennifer Lopez. This winter storm is moving quickly, but it could pose some big problems on the roadways, and especially in parts of the country that aren't normally used to seeing snow and ice. Meanwhile, we had a lot of crashes to deal with across parts of Illinois. This happened throughout this morning. And Chris has a closer look at Winter Storm Inga's track right now.
And the far-reaching impacts that are going to be coming with this, Jennifer. You can see from Maine all the way down to Texas and up to Minnesota, North Dakota, even looking at the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. This is a big area, and already we're seeing some of the snowfall that's coming down within some of the areas that are under some sort of winter weather alert right now, where millions of people expected to be impacted by this. From Louisville to Cincinnati, Columbus to Cleveland to Pittsburgh, snow coming down, and across parts of Arkansas and Missouri, we're seeing that snow. Even parts of Nashville, we're seeing parts of Tennessee is what I was trying to say. We're seeing some of the snow coming down right now. Here's a look at the future radar. So what the storm is going to do through time, according to one of the computer models, and putting this through time is this evening right here, and going through the overnight hours is going to be Kentucky, now into parts of Tennessee, even northern part of Mississippi, Alabama, and eventually we're going to see it move all the way through West Virginia as well, and kind of a hit-and-miss situation there across Pennsylvania. But look at this. It's going to add up in some spots, including parts of the Northeast. I mentioned Mississippi, and Jackson, Mississippi is going to be one of those areas. Eventually could see some wintry weather. You wouldn't know it, though, just by looking outside. It's 52 degrees, similar to what we saw last week across parts of the U.S., where you had one day very warm, in some cases in the 60s, and the next day dropping about 30 degrees. So some very cold air coming, and with it, the chance for some wintry weather where you don't always expect it, including Mississippi down to Texas. Let's go to the lab right now with Dr. Erica Navarro with a closer look at that.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. This is not what we would normally expect here in many of these areas, especially when it's in the 60s in places in Texas. But we will be going from T-shirts to winter jackets in this area because we've got winter storm warnings and the potential for ice now tomorrow morning as we head throughout the day on Tuesday, and then snow on the back end of this system. Winter storm warnings are in effect all the way from western Texas up through Arkansas into the very western and northern parts of Mississippi, because we're going to have a lot of cold air here that's moving behind this cold front, which you can actually see right now in the visible satellite imagery. A beautiful picture showing you this northward to southward advancing cold front. This is going to be the culprit for the wintry precipitation that we're going to see tomorrow morning, and then the snow that we'll see persisting throughout the day tomorrow. Here's a look at how things are going to play out. It's going to start out as a warm rain here. Again, temperatures are in the 50s, even 60s in some of these areas, but temperatures are going to be dropping like a rock here overnight. Almost 30-degree temperature difference between today and tomorrow as that cold air here filters in behind that cold front. By the time that we reach the very early morning hours of tomorrow, we could be seeing some ice here spreading across the Austin metro area, maybe even reaching as far south as San Antonio, just about as people are maybe heading out to work. So this could be very treacherous. You may want to consider going in a little bit later if possible, because the bridges and the overpasses in particular could be incredibly dangerous as that ice accumulates near the surface. Now, that ice will remain in the San Antonio area a little bit longer than, say, in Austin. So we're watching for, again, that potential. If those road temperatures stay below freezing, we could be seeing a significant accumulation, maybe as much of a tenth, maybe even a quarter of an inch by the time that we reach the afternoon hours. It will be moving quickly, so things are going to clear out after tomorrow. But here's a look at the area that we're expecting the most ice, in particular north of the San Antonio metro, across Interstate 10, as well as I-35, in between San Antonio and Austin. There's a pretty likely chance there we could be seeing some ice accumulation. And then around this whole general area, Chris, we could be seeing some ice. So definitely one to look out for as we head into tomorrow.
And now we're going to take a closer look at some of the specific timing for some of those areas that Dr. Navarro was talking about. And this is San Antonio going from this evening, lower 60s, dropping down by more than 30 degrees by 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's going to be right in here. You go from that 35 to 31, say between about Tomorrow morning between about 6 and 8. Now, keep in mind, it's not the sun that directly warms the air. The sun warms objects on the surface, and that warms the air. In turn, the surface cools the air as well. So you're going to get some of the objects getting colder before the air temperature totally drops. So between this 35 and 31, I'm thinking we're going to have parked cars. You're going to have power poles that are metal. Anything metal is going to be very cold, and that will be likely the first to see ice accumulation. Then when temperatures drop down into the lower 20s or upper 20s, lower 30s, and stay that way for a while, more areas will start to see some of the ice. A closer look here at San Antonio. Here's Austin, Blanco over there, and put this through time. Rain initially, but again, this is at night, and then as things cool down, that rain may start freezing on contact to some of the colder objects here across parts of San Antonio and Austin and into the hill country here. Looking at 8 o'clock now, and eventually you might see a quick shot of maybe a few snowflakes, maybe some sleet first, and then possibly some snowflakes. Dallas, you're also going to have that chance for some snow. And keep in mind, too, if the air is cold enough, deep enough, close to the ground, even though it's above freezing down here, you can still see snow. So we're going to look at the possibility for seeing some of that snow later on tonight in Dallas. Jen?
Okay, well, this storm is also going to have an impact here in the Northeast. And as we take a live look at Pittsburgh, where it has been cloudy through the afternoon, and now it's just started to snow. Temperatures have been into the lower 20s, and they're going to stay quite cold for us as we go through at least the next few days. Here's the latest look at the radar, and it shows that snow just making it across the border into western Pennsylvania. It's been snowing for a time now back through Ohio, and you can see the storm system extending all the way down towards Louisville, right along the Ohio River. We are going to be watching this system as we go through the night tonight, continuing to work its way across Pennsylvania, across West Virginia. And then as we go into tomorrow morning, most of the coastal areas should be in decent shape. That would be right along 95 from Boston all the way to D.C. But as we get into tomorrow night, late tomorrow night, and into early Wednesday is when we think that winter precipitation comes into New Jersey, comes across Long Island, and watch here across southern New England. Warmer air moving in, and that means we're going to find some rain out towards the Cape and across the islands. But snow is going to be still continuing to crank out from Boston off to the north and to the west. How much are we thinking is going to accumulate? The heaviest amounts will be in upstate New York and over into New England. 5 to 8 inches of snow is possible. There's also going to be a southern component that's going to impact the Carolinas from this storm. Not a ton of snow, but certainly a nuisance, and it could be rough on the roads. Not so much during the day tomorrow, but as we head into tomorrow night and into Wednesday. Look at the time up there, right in the right-hand corner. That's when the Queen City of Charlotte, upstate South Carolina, over to Raleigh, could get a dusting of snow. Heavier amounts perhaps into eastern and central North Carolina, with maybe 1 to 3 inches around Raleigh. Chris?
And right now it seems as if Nashville just can't catch a break from the cold and the snow. Just after, days after Winter Storm Hunter rolled through, Winter Storm Inga is now going to have